Hi everyone, Christine here. Welcome back to my channel and welcome to all my new subscribers. And welcome to my Creative Times 162nd first and only day of sneaky peeks. And our sale starts tomorrow at 8 a.m. and ends on Friday at midnight. And don't forget to use any of our coupon codes for 15% off your entire order. And my coupon code is Christine, but please feel free to share the love with any of my design team sisters. And I appreciate each and every one of you for using my code. Okay, so let's get started. First of all, we have our new paper pad, and this one is called the Blooming Pastels 2026. Here's an overall view, and let me give you a quick flip through. And by the way, there's 24 sheets total for each of 6 designs. So you get 4 of these, pretty pink plaid. And here's the back of that. I love the script, so pretty. And here's the orange plaid. And here's the back of that. I love all the cracks in there, so pretty. And here's this plaid here. And there's a pretty yellow. And this here is like a green. And a pretty green on the back. And here's the blue plaid. And there's the back. And here's the purple plaid. And here's the back. So pretty. And next we have our Blooming Days ephemera. And let me share with you what that looks like. And next we have our new stamp and die set, and this one is called Where Flowers Bloom. So a lot of flower related type of sentiments, but also included is our thanks, thinking of you, thank you kindly, warm spring wishes, sending sunshine, and included are the coordinating dies, which I love. So that's the stamp and die set. And next we have our new seed pocket die. And this measures, once it's put together, 3 7/16 by 4 13/16. So you would cut this out twice, and on the second one, cut the flap off. And I even trimmed off a tiny bit on the bottom, make it easier to fold. And this one, if you want to cut a heart out of the seed pocket die, use this die. And if you'd like to add a scallop layer, you can use this one, but this one also leaves a stitched outer stitched on the seed pocket. So you don't have to use a scallop, but who doesn't love scallops, right? And then also included are some sentiments, and there's the word seeds, let love grow, spread the love, and seeds of gratitude, and they're all down here. And they cut these out at once. So that's that die. And next we have our round oval dies, and you have this pretty scalloped oval and these stitched oval layers, and these are sold together. And you have 4 sets, starting from the smallest to the largest scallop. These measure 2 5/8 by 1 5/16. The next is 3 1/8 by 1 7/8. And then 3 5/8 by 2 5/16. And the largest is 4 1/16 by 2 3/4. And if you'd like to take a snapshot of the sizes. And next we have the tiny bows and butterfly plate die. There are 26 bows, And the smallest measures about 7/16 to the largest of 7/8, so very small. And the butterflies, there are 30 butterflies. You have the side butterflies as well as the full butterflies. And the smallest half one is a little bit more than an eighth and right under 3/16 of an inch. And the largest of the butterflies are about a half an inch. So love this plate die. And then also in this release, we have the More Butterflies plate die, and it comes with 18 butterflies, and you also get the bodies, and there's some side butterflies and some full butterflies. So you get the side bodies as well as the full bodies for the small and the large butterflies. And the half butterfly measures 9/16 this way approximately, and then 7/8. And then the largest, the smallest full butterfly here measures 7/8 by 3/4, and the largest one, which is this one, measures 1 9/16 by 1 7/8. And I just put these measurements here, but I love both of these plates. And last but not least, we have a new embossing folder, and this one is called Scattered Dots 2026. And the embossing part measures 5 5/8 by 5 5/8. And as with all of our embossing folders, this is a limited edition, so once they're sold out, they're sold out. They will not be reordered. And so love this one too. Okay, let me share with you the seed pocket die, but let me share with you the other products that I used first of all. I used my favorite eyelet doily die. I used the smallest one here. And then two of my favorite papers. I used the Pretty Watercolors. I used this pink one here. And then the Spring Solids, I used the Script Pink. Love those paper pads. And again, this measures 3 7/16 by 4 13/16. And isn't it pretty? I did put an eyelet at the top, and I made this charm like a super long time ago. I think this butterfly charm may have been from Joann's. And then I fussy cut some flowers here. This little butterfly, as well as these tiny little butterflies, and this little bow, that's from the Tiny Bows and Butterfly die. Are they cute? And I did fussy cut these flowers from the ephemera, as well as this watering can and flowers. And this is where I cut a center with the heart die, and then I cut the scallop in white. So again, to cut the heart out, you want to use this stitched one, and it leaves an outer stitched layers on the outside, so you don't need the scallop, but I love scallops. And so I added that. And then down here I have my eyelet doily die. I did pop up the watering can on foam and added some cheesecloth. And here's where I have Where Flowers Bloom, Joy Follows. That's part of the stamp set. And I tore some papers here. Here's a script paper and the other paper from the watercolors. And then I added some lace at the bottom. Isn't it pretty? And so that's it back. So you can definitely fit a gift card in here. Oh, and I also fussy cut this image in the back here. So that's sitting inside. So that's that project. Okay, for my next project, I created a crisscross card, and that's using the Criss Cross Card Die. And this measures, going this way, 4 3/4 by 3 3/4. I also used the A2 Fancy Frame die. I think I used the second to the smallest. And again, my eyelet doily die. And again, the same 2 paper pads, Spring Solids 2024. And the Pretty Watercolors, in addition to the new paper pad. And I also used the round oval dies from our new release, and I used the smallest one, and again, the Tiny Bows and Butterfly plate. And so here's my Criss Cross Card Die. It's kind of hard to say. And you can do this a few ways. I've sealed mine, but you can make it so yours opens up like this. But I decided to close mine off. And so starting at the top here, I added some lace here. I have my eyelet doily die. I fussy cut my images. This one here, there's also one in the back that I fussy cut. And I added these tiny little butterflies from the Tiny Bows and Butterfly Plate. So there's one, here's a side butterfly, another side butterfly. I added stickles. And here I have a torn piece of paper from that Spring Solids 2024 paper, my A2 Fancy frame. And here's the round oval die, the smallest one. And it was a little too long, so I just cut it in the middle and just squeezed it. And that way you can see it peeking here and out here. And then I have a little oval underneath the boots, and that is the negative from my seed pocket die at the top here. And then I have my So Thankful for Your Friendship, and I have that popped up from the new Stampin' Die set. And then I have one of the butterflies from the More Butterflies plate die. And I have these teeny tiny little pearl hearts, and that's from Joann's, which is this one. Unfortunately, they're no longer in business. Maybe you can find these on eBay, I'm not sure. And then I have these tiny little pearls, and I got those from like Prima swirls and these old Michael swirls. I keep them. You do have to remove the adhesive and then add your own. And then I have some more lace here, and lace here too, and some pearls, and a seam binding bow here. And this little pearl charm is from my sweet friend Lady Cree, who is Fun Creations here on YouTube. Hi, my sweet friend. And then I have my card in here in the center, and this layer is also part of this Criss Cross Card Die, as well as this here. And I fussy cut this image from the paper line, and this is the second, let's see, I think that's the second to the smallest oval die here. Okay, so, and I'll probably write my message on the back. And so that just fits in back in here, have it a little snug. And so that's that project. And next I created a treat box using one of my favorite dies, and this is the Gable Heart treat box die. And this measures, once it's put together, 4 inches by 4 1/8, and the width is 1 5/8. And then I also used my eyelet doily die, A2 Fancy frame die, and also from the new release, the round oval dies. And again, I used the smallest one here. I used a tiny Bows and Butterfly plate. I did use the more cocoa mugs and stuff. I think I used this round oval, either that one or this one. I love this mug die, but I love these tiny little ovals that it came with. And then again, I also used the same paper pads, the Spring Solids 2024, as well as the pretty watercolors, and I'll go over that once again with you. So here's my Gable heart box die. Isn't that pretty? And so again, with what I do is, once I cut out my layers that come with the die, I lay it on top of another piece of cardstock and take it to my trimmer and just add a tiny little border on all sides. I don't measure it. I just eyeball it, so it may be a little off. And then this little scallop heart comes with this die, and I pop that up on foam on both sides. And then here I have my same eyelet doily die, the smallest one. I tore a couple pieces of paper. Here's my A2 Fancy frame, and then this is the smallest round oval, scalloped oval. And again, I cut that in like about here, and then squish it together. And here's one of my favorite ephemera pieces from this paper line. And I did fussy cut this as well. And here's the tiny little side butterfly and two tiny little butterflies from the tiny butterfly plate, bow and plate die. Oh, it's called Tiny Bows and Butterfly Plate. And then I added, here's a bouquet of happy. That's part of the new Stampin' Die set. Added some stickles. And here's that little stitched oval for the more cocoa mugs and stuff. And I have another little seam binding bow and some trim I had in my stash. And so this is a pretty good size to put treats in. So that's my project. And next I created a card using the 3.75 by 4.75 add-ons. And I use this stitched layer here, this scallop layer, and then the stitched layer down from that. And then I'm also featuring the new embossing folder, the Scattered Dots 2026. And of course the tiny bows and butterfly plate and the more butterfly plate, and also the round oval dies. And I'm using the second to the largest one, as well as the layer. And I'm also using the eyelet doily die, and I think that may have been, oh, of course the same paper I use is the Spring Solids 2024. And so here's my card. Isn't it pretty? I just love the white on white with the embossing folder. And here's my eyelet doily die here. And here's the round oval die with the layer. And I have the butterfly popped up on foam, and again the tiny little hearts from Joann's. And these little trails here are just diamond dots. And I have Sending Sunshine popped up, and some of the tiny little butterflies. And this little bow is also from that plate, the bows, tiny bows and butterfly plate. And that's just doubled up with cardstock, with 110 cardstock. And then I have a little diamond dot there. And not sure if you can see this side little butterfly. I kind of pinched it so it could pop up on one side. And I have some cheesecloth here. And then this little oval is the other negative from the other side of my seed pocket die, or seed pocket card. Okay, and then I have some lace at the bottom. But isn't it pretty? It's just so simple, but I love the way that looks. And next I created a gift card holder using the scalloped topper die. And this measures, once it's assembled, 4 inches by 4 1/4. And you get a scallop layer and another stitched layer, and also a layer for your back part. Okay, and then I also use the more cocoa mugs and stuff. Again, I use this tiny little stitched layer. And then also from the new release, the round oval dies. I use the smallest one. I use the tiny bows and butterfly plate die, as well as the more butterflies plate die. And I think that's all I use. And in addition to the Spring Solids 2024 and the pretty watercolor paper. Okay, so here's my gift card holder. Okay, and so with the scallop topper die, it's meant to be like this. And so your hearts are going to show like this. So if you don't mind, I mean, I don't mind that the hearts are a little upside down. They're tiny. And there are hearts that are cut out here and here. So it's kind of hidden with this tiny little flower I fussy cut and the butterfly. And so I popped up the butterfly again, and also have the same pearl hearts for the body and tiny little pearls for the trail. And here again, I'm using the eyelet doily die, and I have my A2 Fancy frame and the smallest round oval that again I cut where you can't see the boots, and then I just squished them. And here's that little oval from the more cocoa mugs and stuff. I have Thinking of You, and these are the tiny little butterflies. Here's a side one again that I popped up, and added some stickles. And these are fussy cut as well as my image. It's all fussy cut in the places that I could. It wasn't easy doing cutting around these tiny little flowers. And then I have some lace at the bottom. And again, you can add a note in here, or you can do a gift card. I just glued it on the sides. And I don't have anything on the back. And the cardstock I used, by the way, for my Gable box, as well as this one here. This one is called Basil Guava Sensation. I'm not sure if 12 by 12 cardstock has it. And so that's my project. And last but not least, I created a tiny little treat box, and it's using the mini treat holder die. And I just wanted to use up a bunch of my scraps. Isn't that adorable? So I just fussy cut some flowers from the paper line. And see this little backing here, this little doily? That's actually from this treat box and button dies. And I use this little button that has the scallops. And then I just added my papers, my layers here, and some seam binding here with an eyelet. And you can fit 2 Hershey nuggets either vertically or horizontally. And so isn't that cute? So here are my sneaky peek projects for our 162nd release. And so remember to come back tomorrow for our sale, which starts at 8 a.m. and ends on Friday at midnight. And don't forget, we're having a YouTube hop tomorrow, as well as an Instagram and on our new social media site, School. So tomorrow, make sure you leave a comment and follow each and every one of us, as well as be 18 years or older in order to qualify for a $50 gift card to My Creative Time. So you'll have 3 chances to win on all of our social media sites. And that's it. If you guys have any questions, please let me know. And I thank you all so much for watching. Bye for now.